to the second episode of Loops and Arrays. My name is Mariko. I'm kosamari on the internet pretty much everywhere. Thank you very much if you came back from the first episode, and welcome if this is the first time you're seeing this show. This is a knitting show where I'm going to talk about my projects and work in progress and all kinds of yarn purchase and crafty things that I've been doing. Let's start with finished object because I'm wearing one. So I didn't talk about this as a work in progress last week because I cast it on, knit them, and finished it within 1 week, actually in 3 days. So this is the sweater that I made. And it's very simple sweater. Knit it from top down, and I kind of roughly drafted and made my own pattern. Yarn is this yarn that I got in Tokyo when I was in Tokyo, and this pom-pom wool that has a tiny bit of fluff woven together. So I originally bought 17 balls, so it's only 30-gram ball, and I bought 17 of them thinking I will make a sweater out of it. However, I was kind of thinking something like cabled, like check sweater by what's the name, Andy Sutland. However, when I gauge swatched it with a garter stitch and the regular stock knit stitch, I just was just in love with plain fabric that this yarn creates. So I just made my own pattern with garter stitch neck, arm, and waistband, and regular stock knit. So it's knit in US size 10, and I think gauge is 10 stitches per 4 inch. So it's pretty quick. And these balls are tiny. It only takes me an hour to finish the 30-gram ball. So it was kind of one more ball. First I thought why would people sell a ball in 30 gram? It's so many ends to weave in, but it worked out actually. And this is 100% wool, so I didn't even need to weave in. I just wet spliced it. And yeah, what else to talk about? So I did a little bit of short roll shaping on the neckline, and then it's really hard to see, but short roll shaping on the side as well, so that the back side of sweater comes a little bit downwards. So that's the finished object that I have this week. Let's move on to works in progress. So because I was knitting this sweater, I don't have much progress on the thing. The stellate show that I talked about last week, I did not do much. I probably knit a couple of rows, but and then this socks that I was talking about only knit this much. However, this project is on hold at the moment. Here's a finished half, and if you see it here, the gusset decrease, if this thing focus, gusset decrease is significantly shorter the one that I'm doing here. So the first half of the sock that I knit, I misled the pattern, and where I needed to decrease every other row, I did every row of decrease. This one, however, I was reading pattern correctly, and I did decrease every other row. And after I did it, I realized that I made mistake on the first one. So this is kind of annoying because I've never knit a heel flap and gusset in socks. So this was my practice, and then see how it fits on my ankle. So it's really annoying. I wanted to knit correct heel flap and gusset, and this one is correct, but this wrong one is already done. Do I rip it off and do the set of the correct pattern, or do I just have it mismatching? I don't know. Once I figured that out, I was just this project is on hold. I'm still thinking about what to do with it. However, I'm probably thinking that I will just finish this sock and have the mismatch one, because I realized that the cuff of this first sock is too tight. I knit the leg really long, and I realized that it's too tight. So I would have to like wear them like this anyway. So that means, I don't know, this will be just how it's sock. So, I don't know, but that's one work in progress. And then I started picking up this sweater, which I had cast on maybe 2 months ago. And I finished the yoke part and then basically put it on hold and didn't pick it up. It's 100% alpaca yarn that I bought in Argyle in Brooklyn. And I don't remember the name of the pattern that I took. Like it's also another kind of like free form sweater that I'm doing. I took a cabling pattern or chart from one pattern that I can't remember the name of. I will put it on the screen. And then after that, I was just knitting like as I go, the size wise. So I had it on circular needle for so like pretty much the end of the yoke part, and right before you are gonna separate the body and the arms, I stopped it. And that was the time I went on a lot of trips at work. So it was kind of like on pause for a while. I didn't take it to work. And I pick it up this week because this is 100% alpaca and it's really warm. And it snowed this week in New York the past weekend. So I was like, I want to finish that alpaca sweater and have like really warm, cozy pullover. So I pick it up. And I knit one row, thinking that I will just, I even forgot like which needle that I used. I think I figured that out. I think US 6. But I pick it up, I knit one row of the circular one, and I realized I don't really enjoy knitting in this yarn. It's 100% alpaca. Pretty much like have no give, and it's very slippery. And I should probably use some other like sticky needles, but for US size 6 I only have metal slippery needles, higher sharp. So I don't know, I just really did not enjoy knitting them. And then also the fact that I only needed to do like entire body and sleeve of stockinette, I wasn't feeling like, I didn't really enjoy the yarn. I wasn't feeling like doing the stockinette, and I also have a knitting machine that is really good at making a stockinette fabric. So even though I started as a top-down, no-seam sweater, I decided to move into machine. And I would insert a picture here of what I mean. Basically, so you have the circle, and then you add 4 panels of one body, 2 sleeves, and then 1 back. And now I'm all done. And fold it in half and seam on the side to finish it. So yeah, as opposed to spending a week just knitting stockinette, I finished all of the panels in maybe, 2 hours. So I'm not sure if I'm going to hand seam the side or I'm gonna link it with knitting machine. Well, actually I have a linking machine, but I don't know. This will be done this week, and I will be able to wear them next time it gets really cold in New York City. All right. So those are 2 working projects that I had this week, but I have 2 other yarny craft projects that I did this week. One of which is I dyed yarn. So this year I started dyeing my own yarn for my own project. And so I did it again this week. I basically came back from like 2 months long on and off trip for work. And I was in the mode of I want to do everything that I wasn't being able to do while I was on the load. So I dyed yarn. The first one I did is this tonal gray with a little bit of purple. And this is going to be some kind of hat or part of shawl. I haven't decided, but I had fun dyeing this one. And then I did this one, which is a little hard to see because I re-skeined it. The yarn got tangled, so I re-skeined it. But so the Wool Kitchen that I talked about last week has this colorway where majority of the yarn is black or white, and then have this pop of colors on like one corner of the skein of yarn. And it creates this beautiful fabric with like mostly tonal but like pop of color every now and then. And my thinking was that I can maybe do the similar thing, but the pop of color to be a color of code editor, so that when I knit up stockinette stitch, the fabric would look like the code editor. So with this one, I was going for a Sublime Monokai colorway, the default on the Sublime text, the code editor. So it has pink, it has blue, and it has green and white for the text part and the black for the background. So I think I'm gonna make a very plain hat out of it to see if it works as I imagined. To be determined of the results. And then because I did those two, I had a leftover dye, so I just like put everything in one pot and kind of like I didn't want to waste the dye solution that I created. So I did a very funky yarn that I have no idea what I'm going to do. In fact, I have 3 yarns that I have no idea what I'm going to do. And so this one was a test for creating a yarn that is a color for the Polymer JS for Polymer conference that I spoke this summer. So this is the kind of like a reject. I knit a hat and then gave it to my friend Monica who works on Polymer. And then this one was also the everything dye kind of, I don't want to waste the dye solution yarn from that batch. And then this is another batch from this time. And I have no idea what to do with it. It's very bright. And I don't know. Maybe I can strand it with other like muted color and have something out of it. The other thing is like it's only one skein each, so it's really hard to combine them. But I don't know. So those are the dyeing I did this week. And then I started spinning. So here's my spindle that I bought. So I have been thinking of interested in spinning without spinning even once at anywhere. Let's focus. It's really hard to focus. Anyway, well, you can see that spindle. So I went to Japan. I bought a lot of yarns that is interesting, that is not just a plain yarn where it's dyed with different colors. It's actually like different techniques of plying and different materials applied together. So watching those, I just wanted to do those myself too. And I started Googling a spinning wheel without ever even spinned before in my life. And spinning wheels are expensive. It's like start from $300 for the one that is like a plastic, and then sky is the limit for the expensive one. So I was like, I really want to do this, and I really want to, like, it's kind of like nice Christmas purchase. However, I was like, let me make sure that I really like spinning first. So I went to Ulin on Atlantic Avenue in Brooklyn and purchased this Turkish spindle. And then I purchased the fiber which is Happy Fuzzy Yarn and denim colorway. So this is like a blade of green and blue. I spun, so this is my first ever spun yarn, and it's very chunky and bumpy, and I don't know, it's almost like art yarn. There you go. It's very chunky and bumpy, but I did it. It's like 20 grams of fiber, and then I plied it. There was like fluff there, but I have it. And then, so that was Saturday, and then this is Sunday. I did another yarn that is slightly better in the consistency of thickness. And it's like if the first one was the chunky weight, this one is more like worsted weight. So those are the two. And then right now on the weekdays I am spinning maybe fine, like almost like thread, so that my thinking is that I want to 2 or 3 ply them and then have a fingering weight yarn out of it. I don't know. The purpose of buying spindle and fiber to do a spindle plying spinning was that I wanted to try if I like spinning or not, and I like spinning. So for knitting, I am total product knitter. I like to knit so that I can wear the product that I make. Pretty much product knitter. I never really consider myself a process knitter, but I can see myself being process spinner. I really like drafting motion, and I really like the way that the spins goes up into the fiber and create the thread. So yeah, spinning wheel is on my shopping list for Christmas. I don't know. In terms of what to do with these yarn, I don't know. This was a practice one. I was thinking making like a necklace. So this is a test that I did, like kind of wind it and then make a necklace out of it. Like a chain here. I don't know. So those are the 2 crafty, yarny things that I did this week. So let's move on to a acquisition, and this week I'm going to talk about what I bought in Japan. And I have some of them still on the wall because I bought a lot. But I put each of them in this bucket, which let's start with this one. So this is not necessarily a yarn store purchase, but I bought this canvas bucket from, what is it called? Atelier Penelope. It's really nice, and I've been using it a lot this week. So very simple bucket tote with a zipped pocket inside, so you can put something. And then it just stands up on its own when it's like sitting on the floor. So I record this in my craft/knitting studio, which is like, I don't know, 10 minutes drive away from my apartment. So I have been just putting all of my knitting project in this bucket and carrying between my living room to here and back to living room. So very nice. In terms of yarn purchase, let's see, where do I start? So let's start with the one that I got in Amirisu shop. So I don't know if you know this knitting magazine from Japan called Amirisu. I think it's like a pom-pom magazine. The person self-publishing it, or like it's like in the line of pom-pom magazine. It's like kind of indie-ish knitting magazine. They have a store in Japan, and so they have one in Tokyo and one in Kyoto. This trip, I took a personal vacation time in Kyoto for 2 days. So I visited both stores in Tokyo and Kyoto. And that's where I discovered a Daruma yarn. So let's start with this one. So it's Genmo. is the title of it. And this is a merino that is not even like spawn, but plied with, it's really hard to show, plied with very thin threads basically. So it is a 3-ply yarn, but the majority of the wool content is barely spawn. Very soft, and it's just very interesting. It's the fabric that it creates has like very different face because of this like thread that is plied together than just a solid color yarn that you would buy. So I bought sweater quantity of this from Walnut, which is the yarn store for Amirisu. And I was like, I thought I had enough, but then after I went home, I counted yardage and I realized that I was a little short on what I wanted to make. So I'm thinking making a check sweater from Andy Sutland, or what is it called? Avenir? One of the cable-laced pattern from Heidi Kiermaier. So I realized that I don't have enough yardage. So I went to regular yarn store and I bought a same one. Oops. I bought a same one. Now, this Genmo brand, it's specifically made for export, so international for distribution, I guess. So this is 50 grams, it's same yarn, but this is 50 gram ball. This is a Japanese version that is distributed in Japanese yarn store. It's 30 gram ball. And so if you're interested in buying them from Japan and find this label, that means this is only 30 gram and the Genmo version is 50 gram. Great. And then Walnut also had a same brand, Daruma yarn, had this very interesting yarn called Geek. I mean, yeah. So this yarn has a very bright color core with fluff around it. And I think the fluff is wool and alpaca blend, and I believe the core, the color part, is polyester. So it's 56% wool, 30% polyester, and 14% alpaca. This is specifically named Geek. I was reading the Daruma homepage, so this is named Geek because the color inspiration is from the circuit board of like all the hardwares and computers and motherboard and things. So if you look at that in that eyes, their colors are very much like inspirations from like electronics, hardware stuff. So I bought 6 ball of this. It's also a 30 gram ball. Thinking I would make I don't know, cowl or shawl or something out of it. So that was the yarn purchase from the Walnut in Kyoto and Tokyo. Then I was hooked on this Daruma yarn, and I was like browsing through the website and found more yarns, and I was like, let me get those too. So I went to Okadaya in Shinjuku. It's a big craft store. It's like a one building full of fabrics and notions and yarns and everything you need to do a handy crafty things. And I bought this yarn, the pom-pom wool that I talked about that I used in this sweater. So yeah, as I talked about, this one is 30 gram ball, 90% wool. It doesn't say what kind of wool, but 1% polyester. So when I saw it first, I was like, I like this yellow pom-pom. I'm gonna get a sweater's quantity of it. So I bought 17 balls and I have 2 left. And then there's more color choice for gray and black pom-pom and white with blue pom-pom. So the way they were advertising it is that you can just use tiny bit of it for the cuff or the pocket or something to accent your project. So I was like, okay, interesting. I'm sold. So I bought 5 of these and 5 of that. So I have now like 12 balls of these pom-pom wool, and I just love how this sweater turned out. So I'm thinking of making something else, and I might buy more from Japan. I might ship it to my parents' house and ask them to ship it to me, because I don't think this wool is distributed internationally. Yeah, I'm thinking making like a cozy like house socks out of this. So those are that. And then Daruma yarn also. So you might know Daruma as the thread company if you do like needlepoint or something. They have interesting yarn that I found, which is these. So it's a 5 gram each, and it's sold like it's a thread. So these are neon acrylic thread, but it's just 5 gram each. So I would not buy neon acrylic ball per se, but this is only tiny and pretty cheap and only 5 grams. Maybe nice for like if I want like some accent color on something, or maybe like wrapping present in these. So I bought that. And then it's the same deal, but this one is 100% wool with tiny bit of stellina. So let's see. I'm thinking using this. I bought 4 of these, thinking I would use this as a heels and toes of a sock. So those from Okadaya. And then, oh, let me show you this. So, all right. Here is the last bit of Daruma yarn purchase that I did from Okadaya. So this is a 20 gram ball of wool, and it's called Iroiro, and they have like, I don't know, must be in like 30-40 colors of each of these. And then the idea is that you can use them for pom-poms or color work. And I bought, I don't know, 9 colors maybe of this Iroiro ball. Granted, I was not thinking any project in particular, but I bought it more for decorative element. I was thinking putting all of these in like a big glass jar for decoration, I guess. So this was a good purchase. And then if I need to like have like color work out of it, I would totally use this. Or maybe like, I don't know, because it's 20 gram ball and it's 100% wool, I might use each of them for like heels and toes for the socks. It's a fingerling weight. So then there is still more purchase from Okadaya. I was in the mood of funky yarn, as you can see. So I bought 5 balls of this stellina and wool. Stellina and navy color yarn, the 5 of them. First, I was thinking combining the Geek and this stellina sparkly yarn to make like brioche, like reversible thing, and then have like one face be this funky yellow and then the other face be sparkly one. But I'm having a second thought, and this one might be just this color. Not sure, undecided. But last purchase from Okadaya in terms of yarn. Then I was like completely into the idea of like sparkly and funky and pom-pom yarn. So I bought a Lichmore topping mold. So these are basically a thread with tiny pom-poms. That's like similar thing as the one that's in my sweater. So idea is that you can knit this, just this, but also you can strand it together with regular yarn and create a more funny, funky fabric like this sweater with it. So I bought a navy and gold stellina one, and this pretty colorful white and gold stellina. I think it's gold, right? It's almost like, I don't know, it's some shine to it. It's not quite gold, but yeah. So I'm thinking of just stranding it together with basic solid color yarn and making something out of it. What else to talk about? Oh, so in terms of Okadaya purchase, they had this good notions section. So I bought something that I haven't seen in the knitting store in US, which is this provisional cast-on ribbon. So there you go. So you can see here, basically you, like where you would make a chain stitch to pick up and then do the provisional cast on, you would use this ribbon instead. And then you would knit with this level code, which you can see here, so that it's easier to detach from a provisional cast on and the main fabric. So those are the two things that I bought. And then, oh, I also bought a stretchy, it's called stretch yarn, but it's basically a tiny, it's polyurethane. So I think it's basically like a stretchy thread that you would knit with to make the cuff or, I don't know, the armband, like very stretchy. So yeah, those are the things that I bought. Oh, and then I bought this tiny ruler. So this is nothing really special, but this design is very traditional Japanese, like ruler, like these like 4 dots for 10 centimeters. And this is a kind that you would use, well, at least my generation, this is a kind that we used in school. So I don't know, this was more like a nostalgic buy. I mentioned I went to the store, Walnut from Amirisu magazine. They carried a 16-inch cable for haya interchangeables. And this is something I could not find on Amazon. Like I lost mine that came with the set, and I could not find 16-inch cable on Amazon, and I've been looking for it, and they had it, so I bought one. Let's talk about the last yarn purchase. So, of course, as you can imagine from my London yarn purchase video, I went to many yarn stores, not just, Walnut and Okadaya. I went to another one called Avril in Kyoto. So Avril is a store that's where all of like interesting cone yarns are on the wall, and you can pick and choose. And then on the spot, they will bind, not really ply, but like they will wind it together for you. So you can mix, like let's say like you want to have like 3 color interesting yarn out of these 3, then they will wind those 3 together to the cones, and they sell it by the weight. But while I was there, I found these. This is a thread. It's like very fine thread of neon colors, and it's 100% merino. I bought 3 colors, 100 grams each, exactly thinking that I want to ply these thread with some kind of interesting fiber, like the fiber that you spin yourself. Because I learned about Genmo yarn with like barely spun fiber with tiny thread plied, I was like, I want to experiment with this. Thus, I need to buy a spinning wheel and spin my own yarn. So this will be used in my project to create a yarn that is kind of interestingly plied. What else to talk about? Oh, last one. So one project bag I got. So this is not a yarn store purchase, but I went to a store that sells this like Japanese traditional print, I guess. Tenugui, which is like, I don't know, like hand towel or tea towel. But they make like a whole bunch of bags out of their printed fabric. And there I found this alpaca print, made it into a bento box case. And I have seen this type of bag used as a knitting project bag. And, you know, it wasn't necessarily sold as a project bag. Got one. So that's it from Tokyo. Alright, that's it for this week. Thank you very much for joining me. I don't know, next week maybe I will have a sweater finished and things to talk about making project out of knitting machine, maybe. Maybe I will have more yarn spam myself. So yeah, if you have any question for me or things I should talk about, please let me know. And thank you very much for watching. Bye!